Lucy. Sorry. Water. We don't switch water.
I'm putting the water over there. I'm Lucy Rinehart, chair of the English department, and I'm delighted to have this chance to participate in the celebration of Kathryn's career at DePaul, and on behalf of myself and my English department colleagues, to thank Kathryn for her many years of collaboration with us and support, in particular, of our students and of us in our attempts to show them particular things, of which more. In the last 5 years alone, yes, I've been looking at spreadsheets, and that's the habit of shares, almost 1,000 students in 53 sections of 24 different courses taught by 15 different English faculty have attended instructional sessions in special collections. And those, I should say, only constitute about 1/5 of those that you put together for faculty across the university every year. Do you feel tired? I'm sorry that Chris Garrigan couldn't be here. I don't think Chris is here today.
I haven't seen her.
But I'm very happy that Ellen Kelly is, because I think it's Ellen Kelly and Chris Garrigan that got English department faculty into this particular bad habit of harassing special collections. John Shanahan is here, I believe. John, are you here?
He's stuck down.
Well, he probably did because he knew I was going to embarrass him. He's responsible for a good third of Over half of those courses have been graduate and undergraduate historical surveys of literatures in English. When those of us who teach those courses in particular, which are central to our curriculum, we have one main objective. We often, in the interest of cost, use anthologies in those classes, and those anthologies make all books look alike. And students often, I've actually had this experience more than once, students will keep reading from Emerson's Say to Thoreau, not realizing that they've actually left it. Well, no, that was not a very good example, because one could sound very much like the other. Through exhibit of the works from the period under study, we illuminate what bibliographer D.S. Mackenzie calls the sociology of text. Not only their size and their shape, but the evidence of their production, reception, circulation, and the changing material and interpretive practices that are determined by those different forms of the book. It's a chance, as Leah Price, who's a historian of the book, writes, that's particularly vivid in this moment of ours, to re-encounter the newly estranged technology of the book. And for those of us who teach in the 17th and 18th century, it's like we have a little bookend of this experience. It was strange then, and it's strange again. Students really enjoy and learn from these sessions. They are intrigued, first and foremost, of course, by the rituals and customs of this place. The respect, all of which we're ignoring today. Giddily, and apparently approached by the students outside. We should be quiet. The respect that's paid the book, the special bookmarks, the eschewing of pens, the little special beds that the books lie in, the snakes. I've taken to, it's a long-standing question of mine that I ask big classes at some point when I'm trying to explain some matter historical to them. How many of you have a really developed, vivid relationship with a grandparent? And, in a class of 35, 2, 3 will raise their hand. I'm teaching the One Book, One Chicago Book Thief course for the English department this quarter, and we're talking a lot about books and the stealing of books and other matters, and I asked them how many of them grew up in a presence of a private library. There's a very dramatic moments that occur when a child who's not ever seen a private library comes into a private library. And, asked that question, and 3 people raised their hand. And so then I asked my grandparent question, and the same 3 people raised their hand. And therein lies the story. They don't have a lot of direct encounter with books as objects, this generation of readers, because they're in the middle of a radical shift in what and how they read, and that makes them very sensitive to, especially if they're English majors, I guess, and curious about the changing technologies of the book and their implications for how we read. Students of this generation are remarkably insightful about the materials that we show them and the questions that those materials are begging them to ask about past generations of readers and users of literature. This generation of students also has unprecedented access to the archive, but it is the direct encounter, the holding and the handling that gives substance and significance to that archive. and allows their imagination of history to become so much more vivid. Kathryn always joins in these sessions. She tries to often say at the beginning that she won't, and then and is incredibly welcoming of the questions as they come from students, the interactions, wandering among them as they examine the materials, readily engaging their questions, which are often like, where'd you get this, how much did it cost? And then move on to like, who wrote in this book? And often through those discussions of what we call the associations in the copy, open up into really interesting, curious questions. I think it's a great tribute to Kathryn that these questions that are sort of old hat to you allow them to become new again in the presence of the curiosity of a student, and that is a great gift. She gives a remarkable amount of energy and time to developing bibliographies and exhibits for all of our classes and for classes in other sections. Under Kathryn's direction, Special Collections, the house that Kathryn built, as we'll now call it, has truly become a teaching collection. And that's, for many of us who got interested in special collections and archives in other kinds of special collections, where we had to adopt a much more distant, deferential engagement with the archive, we're a little slow to catch on. I think I was here 15 years before I realized it was okay to bring my students over here. And listening to people's anxiety about drinking in special collections, just moving around the crowd, and then having another drink, which was way to anxiety. That first drink, I think you know what I'm talking about. And there are many more inventive uses of special collections that at Kathryn's invitation our faculty have engaged in, not only courses in bibliography and literary research, major authors courses, but increasingly courses about research for creative writers, where they come in and just try to enter a moment of history in the interest of writing, say, historical fiction or writing popular history. So, when the English department moved to its new quarters in Arts and Letters Hall and realized that we had long halls of bare walls to decorate, Morgan McIntosh Hodgetts and James Murphy had the brilliant inspiration of taking this opportunity to showcase this developed relationship with special collections and teaching in special collections. If you visited us, you've seen that we have 50 framed images. Thank you to Michelle McCoy for producing these images, Michelle. And Michelle did such an extraordinary job, actually, in providing photo reproductions of these images that we have had more than one person express concern about the safety of such valuable, unique objects in our hall, not noticing, of course, that the books are now like this big. Whatever, okay. And these are beautiful images in their own right. They've definitely brightened up the space. They're a vivid record of the history of the book that runs alongside the history of the literature that we study and teach. But most of all, now, they're a daily reminder of the fruitful collaboration that we have had with special collections under Kathryn's direction. We've now initiated a second stage of this project, and we'll have a digital exhibit of these saved images where faculty will write about how they use the images, and we hope this will invite even further and more work. And thanks to James Murphy, who's here somewhere, for his leading of that project. We wish you all the best, Kathryn. We'll miss you terribly. And I'm very encouraged, I don't know if anybody else is, coming in and seeing that apparently we've developed a Kathryn DeGraff app.